So you might be after a new car, perhaps you want a spacious SUV which does both the family road trip and also feeling a bit swanky on the drive to work. Well, one car which fits that description perfectly, which I think gets a bit looked over, is the Honda HR-V. Yes, in 2023, the Honda HR-V is a very striking and high-end looking SUV. In this video, we're going to be talking about that facelift design, the interior, the tech, and how this car drives out on the road. But first, if you want to see more car reviews on the latest cars in the market, then subscribe to the Holcroft YouTube channel. And to find your next car, then head to the Holcroft website. So then, the design of the Honda HR-V. I think it's fair to say that this car looks worlds apart from the previous generation Honda HR-V. It looks a bit clunky, looks a bit awkward. Apologies to anyone who owns that vehicle, but we can admit that this is a very striking looking car, especially with that updated front grille. The fact that they've gone away from their metal bars, they've got that matching body colour on the front grille, these bars that go right across, that massive Honda badge in the centre. You have nice dips in the bonnet. Overall, it's a rather striking design and worlds apart from that slightly awkward looking SUV. You also get 18-inch alloy wheels across the board. Higher spec also comes in contrasting paint on the wing mirrors and the roof. Overall, it's a rather sleek looking car. I'm very much a fan. Like the headlights, there's not really much going on to it. It's rather sleek, goes into this point bit. It's quite Mazda-esque. It has that premium feel to this car. Overall, this facelift is very much an improvement from the previous generation. Now, we just delve a little bit deeper into the design of that front grille, because you might be looking at this thinking, you know what, Honda have done a good job with the HR-V. But what this symbolises is almost a new face with Honda, because you get the essence of the new Civic e-HEV, you get the essence of the new Honda Jazz, but it also reflects the design what you see later on in this year in the all-new Honda ZR-V. So this design isn't just a facelift for this SUV, it almost just casts a shadow on the previous Honda models. This looks like the new face of Honda. They've been very uniform with their updated designs, and this almost seems like the catalyst for that. Come to the back of the Honda HR-V and you do get that sense of a refreshed and updated look. I really like the design of the rear lights, you know, that massive bar that goes right across. This slight spoiler effect gives it a bit of sporty edge, you know. If you look at the side of the car, and it does look a bit of a sporty SUV in the sense where the whole shape of it has nice slopes, it's not boxy, it's not, you know, it doesn't look like a people carrier on the outside. As mentioned in the intro about that sense of it being a car you can use for a family road trip, but also being a nice flash car, and I think you get that sense with the whole shape of this car. You also have the e-HEV emblem, which signifies that this is a self-charging hybrid, but we'll get onto that technology later on in the video. Coming to the boot space, obviously with it being an SUV, going to want a decent amount of boot space. Now, this is one of the only parts of the car I'm not maybe the biggest fan of, because what you have here is 335 litres of boot capacity, which for a car of this size, that's not exactly the most impressive stat. 335 litres, which does actually go up to 1,305 litres with the rear seats folded down. However, this isn't exactly an impressive stat. What is an impressive stat about this car though is the different specs that the HR-V comes with. You see the lowest spec being called the Elegance, tops the scales at just over a £30,000 mark, with the top spec being just over the £35,000 mark. So 5,000 between the low spec and top spec is pretty good work by Honda. Now, the only real difference between the lowest and top spec is merely stylistic and comfort. It has the same powertrain, so it has the same performance, has the same safety features, and pretty much the same interiors. The only real difference is the top spec has nice features like wireless charging, heated windscreen, etc. So there's no jeopardising in performance or driving experience no matter what spec you get.
And speaking of driving experience,
I mentioned at the start of the video about that sense of this car could potentially be used for a family road trip with that space, could potentially be used to feel a bit swanky on the drive to work and at weekends. And you know what, driving this car, I wasn't wrong. That self-charging hybrid system, which may I add, can actually travel upwards of 459 miles on a full tank, provides a very relaxing driving experience. Yes, this isn't the most powerful car going, it's a relaxing, comfortable drive. It's a large SUV, so you won't really be expecting that. And yes, it has a self-charging hybrid system, but 0 to 60 time of 10.8 seconds, maximum torque of 253 Newton meters. So yeah, you won't be seeing this on a racetrack anytime soon. However, what I can say is the ease this car is to drive. Obviously, we've been in automatic, it just makes it so much easier. And ultimately, this car, it's just great to handle. don't be rude. Because even though it's quite a large car, I mean, it's over 1.8 meters in length, so it's actually wider than I am tall, which isn't hard, but you know what I mean? It's quite a big car. But you don't feel that when you go around corners. You don't feel you encroaching onto the other lane. And it just the smoothness of going around corners. It's a really nice drive. But when it comes to safety features, well, it'd be quicker to tell you what this car doesn't have. I mean, Honda are renowned for making some of the most safest cars out on the road, and the HR-V certainly is that. You know, it comes with abundance of driving safety convenience features, has them parking cameras, has that adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, hill start assist, and hill descent control, just to name a few. I mean, we could be going on all day talking about the safety features this has, because this could be one of the safest cars out on the road. It realistically could. And a smooth and safe drive, which takes place in a pretty premium feel interior. Now, I'd be lying saying, stepping into this car, that this has the wow factor, because ultimately it's a pretty standard looking car. It is very Honda-esque in the fact that there is a lot of room. Everything's been thought out well in terms of placements, but it's not exactly mind-blowing. You know, on the seats you only have a few contrasting patterns and materials. There isn't really any colour to this. It's, you know, got a couple of chrome strips, the rest of it is just black. But when you dissect that, you have nice cushion materials here, even on the door sills here. Normally you could just whack in a bit of plastic and no one would really be that bothered. It's got a nice cushion material with a leather wrap on top. It does feel very premium. But overall, it is a very practical interior. You know, Honda are renowned for making very practical interiors. You know, if you look at the Honda Jazz, where it has the cup holder placement here, there's little things like that, and you get that in a HR-V. For example, your climate controls, normally they're all the way down here or in the infotainment screen. The fact that they're right here, you don't really need to reach down, look, you can just quickly glance. Very practical. The infotainment screen is very easy to use and it's very responsive. Obviously it comes with the usual built-in navigation, smartphone connectivity, and also has that nice Honda edition of the Wi-Fi hotspot. Your drive display is Honda to a T, practicality, because it hasn't got a nice fancy graphic. It's got the old school dial, but then it also has the screen showing what speed you're doing, you know, showing your miles per gallon. You can also put your navigation in there as well. So again, it don't bring the wow factor, but it does the job to a T. And reading a drive display like this when you're out on the road, realistically, is much easier than them really high-tech, high-definition driving displays that you see in quite a lot of cars. So, all right, you're looking at it, and you've probably seen this driving display millions of times before when you've been looking for a car, but it's practical. It's Honda to a T. It does the job. Coming to the rear seats, and I mentioned before in the video about that boot capacity. In fact, it's a little bit disappointing, 335 litres. But I know where all the space has gone. It's got it in the back seats. Look how much space you get. Your rear passengers in this car are going to be absolutely delighted on a road trip. They'll quite happily take the back seats. It's so comfortable. You have air vents, USBs, plenty of storage, obviously plenty of leg room. If you had 3 people in the back, do you know what? I think they'd fit comfortably. It's a quite wide car. You also get a Honda Magic seat. So if you want to hide some sweets away from someone, you could do it down here. Or in fact, want to hide your fizzy drink, then you can quite easily do that. But then you're probably thinking, where should I put my drink on the drive? Perfectly placed cup holder. You don't have to be reaching down here. You got one within reach. Just little things like that I mentioned about the front, about how Honda have them little additions which makes the car so much more practical. You see it in the front of the Jazz with that cup holder next to the steering wheel. And that is the same essence. So then 3 things I really like about the Honda HR-V. The first being the shape of this car. I mean, if you have a look from the side profile, it looks quite a sporty SUV. You might be thinking Honda HR-V. There might be some misconceptions about who drives a Honda HR-V. Look it from the sides, and you know what? It's a rather good looking car. The second being that self-charging hybrid system, for the fact that a car can travel over 450 miles on a full tank and produce a recorded combined miles per gallon of just over the 53 mark. However, put it in eco mode and you can get more out of that hybrid system. Personally, this is a very economical car and performs well out on the road. And the third thing being that you can control this car with your mobile phone with the help of the My Honda app. You can set the climate controls before you get in the car. You can find it in a busy car park, etc, etc. Just little features like that which makes the whole experience of owning this car just that much greater. So then, 3 slightly annoying things about the Honda HR-V. First is the fact that, yes, this car comes with centre armrest in the back with 2 cup holders. You're thinking, very practical, but then the fact it just slaps down, it almost feels like an added extra. It'd be so much nicer if it was a bit more firm so you could actually lean your arm rather than down here. The second annoying thing is how you open the fuel tank. In fact, it has one of them really awkward switches, so if you forget to do it when you're at a petrol station, you might be in a rush and you might quickly get out, go to put petrol in, and you can't do it, and you've got to come back and flick the switch here. Just have one of them push things. It's so much easier. And the third slightly annoying thing about the HR-V, which is quite clutching at straws because I'm quite a big fan of this car, is the rear door handles. I'm really not a fan of these type of handles. Yes, it looks nice, but it's just not that practical to wrap your hand around if you're coming that way. I just prefer the old school, door handle here. All right, it makes the car look a bit more sleeker, but just put a door handle here. It's just so much easier. So then, there you have it, the Honda HR-V. It's had a significant facelift over the previous years and looks world apart from that previous generation model. This new model feels fresh, it feels modern, and feels very much a step in the right direction for Honda. To find out more about this hybrid SUV, or in fact to book a test drive, then contact one of our 3 Holcroft Honda dealerships. These can be found in Stoke, Cheshire Oaks and Warrington.